Today on the CTV News at 5, no legal aid for a man accused of Guatemalan war crimes. Plus, remembering Gary, a man who brought the community together, brings them back together one more time. And Lethbridge food banks get 4,000 pounds of oats.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. An accused Guatemalan war criminal won't get legal aid in his fight against extradition to the U.S. Jorge Sosa, a 54-year-old Canadian and American citizen, was arrested in Lethbridge in January of last year. Sosa, who was a martial arts instructor in Lethbridge before his arrest, is to be sent to California, where he's accused of lying to U.S. immigration officials about his military past. Sosa is also accused of leading the slaughter of more than 200 men, women, and children in Guatemala in the early 80s. He is also wanted by Guatemalan authorities. Sosa wanted a Canadian legal aid lawyer to help him appeal the extradition order, but the Alberta Court of Appeal says there's no evidence to justify a publicly funded lawyer. A man charged with first-degree murder in the death of a Vulcan senior was back before the courts today. Timmy Engel appeared in a Lethbridge courtroom via closed-circuit television from the city's correctional center. Engel is facing one count of first-degree murder and one count of indignity to a human body. 77-year-old Otto Bunty Luce was kidnapped from his home in Vulcan last month. His dismembered body was found a few days later. Today, Engel's lawyer asked for an adjournment while they wait to receive disclosure from the Crown. The case will return to court on April 2nd. Well, a Lethbridge sports club says residents of the city aren't any safer now that the fish and gun range has been closed. In fact, they suggest it may be even more dangerous because there are no controlled shooting facilities in the city. The range in North Lethbridge has been temporarily closed until City Council considers the latest reports on stray bullets. But as Terry Vogt reports, the Fish and Gun Association maintains that the range is not to blame.
Fish and Game Association President Rick Blakely says his organization has gone above and beyond federal standards to make sure its shooting range is safe, both for members and for the community.
I wouldn't be associated with this place if I thought it could possibly hurt a person.
Members of the association say they're baffled by a decision to close the range until City Council can review the latest report on stray bullet incidents. Members say they've seen the report, adding it contains no evidence connecting the range to bullets that struck homes or vehicles in the city.
The report in question from 2006 until 2012, during that period of time, there has never ever been a bullet that has left the Fish and Game range, period. Never. The only responses, and every time we have complied completely with the police, provided them all the data we have, and every time that they've responded with one of two things: that projectile did not come from the range, or the other thing that they have said is we don't know where it came from.
Fish and Game officials say the latest report outlines 22 incidents of stray bullets over the years. 8 occurred in West Lethbridge and 1 in the south part of the city, the other 13 in North Lethbridge. A police investigation in 2010 determined the real problem was careless or uncontrolled shooting in nearby rural areas. The Fish and Game Association is concerned those kind of incidents may increase now that the range is closed.
Definitely increasing the risk. Definitely increasing the risk. There's people now that will be forced to go elsewhere. They go elsewhere where those controls aren't there. That's making more potential for projectiles ending up in the city of Lethbridge.
Lethbridge City Council will consider the matter on March 5th when they'll get 3 reports, one from the city police, one from the city administration, and one from the Lethbridge Fish and Game Association. Terry Vogt, CTV News, Lethbridge.
The Fish and Game Association has about 850 members signed up for this year. The organization held a closed-door meeting last night to present a report on the closure and get feedback from its members. City Council will hear the report March 5th. Well, with spring approaching, police are warning people to expect an increase in car prowling and vandalism. The warm weather brings a jump in vehicle break-ins, mischief, and property crimes. Officers are reminding residents to lock their vehicles and make sure valuables have been removed. Some of the most targeted items are loose change, wallets and purses, gift cards and electronics. Police say that car prowlers generally tend to go vehicle to vehicle, looking inside and trying door handles.
Broken windows, they create noise. If there's a security system in the vehicle, it'll be activated. If a vehicle's unlocked, there's no security system that's going to be activated, and it's a quiet crime then. They're opening the vehicle. The only thing they got to worry about is an overhead light if somebody looks out and sees a light on in the vehicle. So by leaving a vehicle locked, it's a good deterrent.
Dory Rossiter is here. And Dory, I can't figure out, do I take an umbrella out this weekend or a parka or both?
Everything, Jackie. Oh. That's the answer.
Another option.
Everything. Especially if you're going to be in the Lethbridge area, you folks, if you're going to be staying at home, you will need the umbrella because the precipitation will start in the form of rain and then shift to snow later in the day tomorrow. We're seeing some snow right now. That's just a little advance party coming across the mountains, but the real core of the system is expected to move in tomorrow. Heavier amounts are going to be to the north, to the west, and to the east, but we'll still get a dusting here as well. So you'll need the umbrella and the parka. I'll tell you all about it in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Dory. Well, staff at a Lethbridge continuing care facility will resume contract talks with their employer next month. Last week, union employees at the Edith Cavell Care Centre voted in favor of strike action, prompting the employer back to the bargaining table. Right now, there are about 120 union members at the facility. Union officials say talks stalled last month because the two sides couldn't agree on health benefits and salary issues. Staff say they're hoping to create a long-term disability plan, health spending account, and higher salaries. Funeral services were held last night for a man who Lethbridge loved and he loved Lethbridge. Gary Boyven passed away last Friday of cancer. In December, Love Lethbridge and Streets Alive helped build a home for Boyven and his daughter Michelle, whose previous home had been ruined by a rainstorm in 2008. Daryl Rummold was there as friends and family said goodbye.
In his final days, Gary Boyven confided in friends that he faced a win-win scenario. If he died, he was going to heaven, free of the pain of the cancer that ate away at him and the handicaps forced upon him by flesh-eating disease. If he lived, he would get to stay longer with his daughter Michelle, who fueled his passion for life.
I, like a lot of other people, saw Gary for years, the guy in the wheelchair with one leg with a little girl on his lap. But I never stopped to find out his story. And God made a way for me to get involved in his story, and it's a great story.
Friends and family who gathered at Park Meadows Baptist Church on Thursday painted a picture of Gary as a sometimes opinionated but funny and giving person who encouraged others to be better people, get off drugs and off the streets.
No matter what your circumstances are, if you have faith, then things will change.
2 years and countless hours of volunteer work later, things did change. Gary and his daughter Michelle were finally able to call this house a home, moving in mere hours before Christmas Day, a day Boyven's doctors told him he may not see.
I've always felt that the town did so much for him, so it's funny to see the other side and have all of these people talk about what his impact has been.
Despite having no relatives nearby, Michelle Boyven hopes to remain in Lethbridge, a city that's done so much for her and her family.
If Michelle were 12 years old, I'm sorry there wouldn't be a choice. But Michelle being 17 and expressing to me that she'd really like to stay in Lethbridge, I will do everything in my power to make sure that she can do what she wants to do.
Blasutti says a couple of families have already come forward expressing their desire to be Michelle's physical guardians. She says while the Boyvens are her biological family, the city that embraced Michelle and Gary is now also family. She just wishes her brother could have loved the city as it loved him for just a little longer. Daryl Rummold, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Michelle Boyven's mother, Suzanne, died in 2007 from brain cancer. Love Lethbridge organizers say there is still about $50,000 owing on the project, their home, and they're hoping benefactors will come forward to help them cover the costs. If you'd like to donate or make direct donations towards Michelle's care, you can do that at the Streets Alive mission. Well, some good news for the Lethbridge food banks today as they received a huge donation of food from a local organization. 4,000 pounds of oats were delivered this morning. The donation coming from the Rotary Club of Lethbridge East. During what is Food Bank Week, the 2 tons of oats will be split between the city's 2 charities. It's part of the 2nd annual February Food Challenge that sees the various Rotary chapters around the city compete with each other for the heaviest donation to help the hungry.
is Food Bank Month, and it's also Rotary Week. So it's kind of a happy confluence of the two.
So obviously that means a lot to our food banks. We'll be able to break those down into smaller packages, so they'll be broken down into 3-pound packages, and that will stretch and reach out to a lot of families.
During the Rotary Food Bank Month, donations go to benefit the Lethbridge, Interfaith and University of Lethbridge food banks. Elton John fans still trying to get their hands on tickets may be in luck. Whitby's Fish and Chips is raffling off a pair of floor seats for charity. Restaurant owner John McMillan says he wanted to use the tickets to raise awareness and money for an organization close to his heart. The money raised will benefit the Valor Place in Edmonton. The facility is a home for injured soldiers, veterans, and law enforcement officers.
It's just a story that's special to me with the soldiers and the RCMP and the city police. That they have a place to go, that they can actually stay while they're waiting for rehabilitation.
Raffle tickets are $5 each, and they're only selling 350. The draw will take place at Whitby's on University Drive, April 23rd, 6 p.m. The 13th annual International Peace Powwow will be held in Lethbridge this weekend. Dancers and drummers from across Canada and the United States will participate. The event encourages cultural exchange with visiting tribes and the public. There will also be live country music and a Miss Blackfoot Canada pageant, as well as a talent competition and a headdress transfer ceremony for 3 local residents. The powwow runs Saturday and Sunday at the NMAX Centre. Things get underway both days, 10 a.m. On the markets today, oil was up, the dollar was down. Here are the closing figures for the week.